This is episode 36, where we are continuing the Sound Mind series, and we are reading through the book of Ecclesiastes. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this very long podcast on Ecclesiastes, chapter 2, part 2. Oh, Lord. Okay. This brand new computer just fell asleep on me, so I'm sorry I wasted 30 seconds or getting it back on. I'm at 48 minutes of talking. We're in verse 16. Verse 17, therefore I hated life, because the work that was done under the sun, of course under the sun, was distressing to me, for all is vanity and grasping for the wind. Thank you, Solomon, for wrapping it up for us with a tight little bow. I'm glad you finally came to that realization. Verse 17, therefore I hated life, because the work that was done under the sun was distressing to me, for all is vanity and grasping for the wind. Sorry, I said sun the first time. Grasping for the wind. He had all the riches, I remind you. Verse 4 through 7, he had all the riches. According to him, I made works great. He had the Midas touch, whatever you want to call it. He built houses, planted vineyards, had orchards, maids, servants, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure he had thousands of wives. I'm not even sure. I'll go back to that. I'm sorry. However, he still hated life. Why did he hate life? I'll leave that question right here for later chapters. Why did he hate life, having all of these things? Verse 4 through 7. I already know the answer because I finally learned that today reading through this. Verse 18. Then I hated all my labor in which I had toiled under the sun, because I must leave it to the man who will come after me. And that's very true. You live, you die. And then who comes after you is going to stay with everything. And that's actually a note that I had in here. Solomon realizes all his work, all things will stay behind. So what was all that worrying going to do? I could actually use that myself. Like, I'm a worrier. I am a warrior also on different things, but I am a worrier. I worry about everything. I have checklists for a lot of things that I have to do. It works for some people, doesn't work for other people, but at the same time, it's going against what God already has for you. And he had the exact same thought, but you know what? I know that a little bit of the difference. Well, I know the difference now, not a little bit, because I have Jesus now. He didn't have Jesus at the time. He was way before Jesus. So he toiled with that because he had to leave it to the man who will come after him. Verse 19. We're almost done, you guys, I promise. And who knows whether he will be wise or a fool? So even after all of that, you don't know if you're going to be wise or if you're going to be a fool. After having to work your entire life, after having to leave it all behind, he didn't know if he was going to be wise or a fool. So I'm understanding verse 19, when he passes, is he going to be wise and be doing good in the eyes of God, or is he going to be a fool and be sinful and then go elsewhere, which I'm sure he didn't really understand at that moment, or that he was going to feel the wrath of God and be a fool in God's eyes. I feel like that's what he's trying to say with verse 19 there. And who knows whether he will be wise or a fool? Yet he will rule over all my labor, in which I toiled and in which I have shown myself wise under the sun. So he's going to be either wise or a fool, and then whoever is going to stay with all of those things, that person is going to rule over all of his labor. Yet you're worried now about your work and about leaving things better for that person. He finishes verse 19 by saying, this is also vanity. Oh, okay, Solomon, I understand you. Why? Because like I said again, I've also been living in the flesh, living in sin. This is also vanity, worrying, not understanding that God is in control, that God has that plan for you, letting it all be in God's hands, understanding that what you have and be grateful for all of those things that you have. is from God. So me, myself, having control of life here on earth, that was also vanity, because I was worrying about something that is already planned out for me. Verse 20. Therefore, I turned my heart and despaired of all the labor in which I had toiled under the sun. So he turned his heart. So I'm assuming he was a little bit older here when he turned his heart. So he stopped using his heart, and because he was just in so much despair, and because of the labor that he had done, he toiled under the sun. Like he was tired of it. So he turned his heart from that. He finally understood, and he stopped thinking and perceiving things with his heart, but now he's moving on to wisdom. Verse 21. For there is a man whose labor is with wisdom. Wow. Okay. I just said that. Context. Or I just understood verse 20 for what he's saying in verse 21. Verse 21 again. For there is a man whose labor is with wisdom, knowledge, and skill. And I have this following part circled. Yet he must leave his heritage to a man who has not labored for it. Heritage, I can also, you can also call that inheritance. In Solomon's case, his gold, his land, his everything that he had, since that he apparently made himself, but didn't accept the fact that it was from the Lord. Verse 21, for there is a man whose labor is with wisdom, knowledge, and skill, yet he must leave his heritage to a man who has not labored for it. This is also vanity and great evil. Verse 22, for what has man for all his labor, and for the striving of his heart with which he has toiled under the sun? So what does a man have for all of his labors? Like, what do you have to look back on after all that work? Are you going to look back on sin? Are you going to look back on mirth, that very superficial joy and laughter? Are you going to look back on all of that? Are you going to know that you understood that everything in your life was from God, and just be grateful for that? Are you going to look back on that, or are you going to perceive it in a different way? Are you going to strive with your heart, the heart that has allowed you to toil under the sun, that has allowed you to question everything as long as you've been under the sun? Verse 23, for all his days are sorrowful. Your days are going to be sad. He's telling you right here, he understood that. For all your days are sorrowful, and his work burdensome. Even in the night, his heart takes no rest. Your heart is not going to be still. This is also vanity. For all his days are sorrowful, and his work burdensome. Even in the night, his heart takes no rest. This is also vanity. Be still. Verse 24. Nothing, I actually have this completely circled, this entire verse. And I wrote here, what did I write here on the side? The goal in life. Okay, all right. I guess I'm not sure if I wrote this first time I read it or today, but verse 24 I have circled, and then I put the goal in life. Maybe this was Solomon's goal, maybe this is mine, I'm not sure. Let's see. Verse 24. Nothing is better for a man than that he should eat and drink, and that his soul should enjoy good in his labor. This also I saw was from the hand of God. Okay. Okay, so yes, the goal in life. Okay, this is also I saw was from the hand of God. So he finally understood. This also I saw. I'm assuming here he's not using his heart, and he's using his wisdom that he actually put to use. That nothing is better for a man than that he should eat and drink. Where did that eat and drink come from? From his labor. But who gave him that labor? Who gave him that? Who provided that? God did. And that his soul, now he's talking about souls. He's not talking about hearts. He's talking about his soul should enjoy good in his labor. The first few verses, all he said was heart. Now he's saying his soul. Nothing is better than a man than that he should eat and drink, and that his soul should enjoy good in his labor. This also, meaning that whole little verse there, this also I saw was from the hand of God. Verse 25, from who can eat or who can have enjoyment more than I? I is capital in verse 25 because right there, that's the Lord speaking. It's a question actually, more than I, question mark. 25, for who can eat or who can have enjoyment more than I, question mark. Verse 26 says, for God gives, thank you for wrapping that up. For God gives wisdom and knowledge and joy to a man who is good in his sight. But to the sinner, he, capital H, God, he gives the work of gathering and collecting, that he may give to him who is good before God. This also is vanity and grasping for the wind. So in essence, he finally acknowledges that God is our provider of wisdom, knowledge, and joy to a man who is good in his sight, because he's not leading with the flesh. He's allowing God to do the work in his life. He's allowing God to guide him. Therefore, God is providing the wisdom, the knowledge, the joy, and all that he needs because he's good in God's sight, in his sight. But to the sinner, like Solomon when he was young, and I'm assuming also in old age, but to the sinner, God, he gives the work of gathering and collecting, meaning the labor. God gives the sinners the labor, gathering and collecting, all of these things that we're not going to understand that are from him, only to feel that sorrow in our hearts, not our soul, in our hearts, and not want to leave it behind to someone else, not leave our heritage behind to a man who has not labored for it. So last sentence, reading it one more time, last verse, 26. For God gives wisdom and knowledge and joy to a man who is good in his sight, but to the sinner he gives the work of gathering and collecting, that he may give to him who is good before God. So perhaps the person that comes after you is better because they know where all of these things are coming from God. Why? Because they're probably good in his sight. Anyway, this is also vanity and grasping for the wind. Guys, I've been reading for an hour. Today was supposed to be chapter 3 also, but I am not going to do chapter 3. I am recording this, finally weaning off my medications, I think, from today in the morning. I feel exhausted, but I also feel so much joy in what I was reading. I just want to wrap it up because I can't believe I didn't understand any of this the way that I just explained it and understood it until today. So I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this very long podcast. Until next time, my friends, take care.